So, what if you could add 10 more really good, healthy years to your life? I mean, vibrant years. Today, we're not just talking about living longer. We're going to dig into the science of Healthspan, which is all about adding life to your years. Let's break down exactly how it's being done. All right, here's the game plan. First, we're going to talk about what this whole Healthspan revolution even is. Then, we'll dive into the 4 pillars, a so-called longevity drug you already have access to, how to fuel your body on a cellular level, a connection cure that might surprise you, and yeah, how to clear out these things called zombie cells. And at the end, we'll pull it all together so you can build your own protocol. So let's kick things off with the big idea that really changes the entire conversation. Right now, medicine is going through this massive shift. We're moving away from just trying to add more years to the end of life and focusing on something way more important, the quality of those years. And it all boils down to this really simple but honestly profound difference. See, lifespan, that's just a number. It's how long you're alive. But health span, that's the real prize. That's the number of years you're actually feeling good, you're mobile, you're sharp, and you're free from all those chronic diseases. The goal is no longer just to add years to life. It's to add life to your years. And here is the absolute game changer. The new way of thinking is that aging itself isn't this inevitable process of decay we just have to accept. Instead, scientists now see aging as the #1 modifiable risk factor for chronic disease. Think about that. If we can target the aging process itself, we can potentially delay or even prevent all these diseases at once. That's a huge deal. Okay, so let's get into our first, and you could argue the most powerful pillar of them all. It's something that scientists and doctors consistently call the single most effective longevity drug on the planet. And listen, this isn't just some catchy phrase. When you exercise, it literally sets off a cascade of amazing chemical reactions inside your body. It acts like a powerful anti-inflammatory, it protects your brain, it maintains your muscle, which is crucial, and it makes your heart stronger. It is, without a doubt, the most powerful medicine we have, and it's totally free. And you know what the best part is? You don't have to become some elite athlete to get the benefits. Not even close. The science is super clear on where to start. Just 150 minutes of moderate activity a week. We're talking about a brisk walk, something that gets your heart rate up a little. That's your ticket in. That's the minimum effective dose. Now, to really do it right, you want to think of your exercise plan like a balanced investment portfolio. You need stability. That's your foundation. You need strength training to keep your muscle mass. And then you need 2 kinds of cardio. You need that lower intensity zone 2 work. Think of it as a pace where you could still hold a conversation. That builds your endurance engine. And then you want a little bit of high intensity stuff to push your VO2 max, which is one of the biggest predictors of a long, healthy life. All right, let's move on to pillar number 2, what you're putting into your body. We're going to see how the food we eat provides the literal fuel and building blocks for our cells to thrive for a long, long time. This is all about nutritional biochemistry. You know, instead of getting into endless debates about which single diet is the best, let's just look at what the people who live the longest, healthiest lives on Earth actually eat, right? Whether you look at the Mediterranean diet or the diets in the blue zones, you see the exact same patterns emerge. It's mostly plants, lots of healthy fats, whole foods, and almost zero processed junk. The principles are universal. Now, beyond just what you eat, it turns out when you eat is also incredibly important. Things like caloric restriction or intermittent fasting basically give your body a much-needed break to go into repair mode. It's like cellular cleanup. And then there's the really cutting-edge stuff, where scientists are looking at specific molecules like NAD+ and AKG, which decline as we get older, and finding that maybe, just maybe, supplementing them could help recharge our cellular batteries. Okay, our third pillar might be a bit of a surprise. We're going to shift gears from the purely physical stuff to the psychosocial. But the science on this is crystal clear. This is just as critical for your actual biology and your health span. I mean, just let this sink in. Think of your relationships, your friendships, your family, like a biological retirement account. The more you invest in them consistently, the bigger the payout. And that payout isn't just feeling happy, it's biological. We're talking about real, measurable changes in your physical health. Strong social bonds can literally slow aging at the cellular level. And look, this is not just some feel-good idea. It is backed up by some of the most robust data we have. The Harvard study of adult development is just incredible. It's been tracking people's lives for 85 years. 85 years. And it all pointed to one single profound conclusion. So, after nearly a century of data, the single greatest predictor of who is going to be healthy and happy in old age wasn't their cholesterol levels or their income or even their genetics. It was the quality of their relationships. Period. This means human connection is a fundamental biological need, just like food, water, and exercise. And that brings us to our final pillar. For this one, we're heading right to the cutting edge of aging research. Scientists are now figuring out how to deal with one of the biggest problems of aging, the buildup of these things called zombie cells. So here's what happens. As we get older, some of our cells get damaged, and they enter this state called senescence. A better name for them? Zombie cells. Because that's what they are. They stop doing their job, but they've refused to die. And what's worse, they just hang around, spewing out all these inflammatory chemicals that damage all the healthy cells around them. They basically become little factories for aging. So, how do you fight zombies? Well, scientists are working on this brilliant 1-2 punch. Step 1 is something called xenomorphics. You can think of these as drugs that tell the zombie cells to just shut up and stop causing trouble. Then, step 2 is senolytics. These are drugs that come in and selectively kill and clear out the zombie cells for good. It's basically a targeted cleanup crew for your body. Whew. Okay, so we've gone through all 4 pillars. Now for the most important part. How do we bring it all together into one single integrated strategy that you can actually use to improve your health span? The real magic happens when you realize these pillars aren't separate things you check off a list. They all work together, they're synergistic. Your nutrition helps stabilize your metabolism. Your exercise builds your physical structure and defense system. Your social connections act as a powerful buffer against stress. And things like fasting and these new therapies can help with the molecular cleanup. It's one cohesive system. Look, at the end of the day, this isn't about chasing a number. It's about having the physical health and the mental vitality to do the things you love with the people you love for as long as you possibly can. So the real question isn't just about how to get those extra years. It's about what you would do with 10 more healthy, vibrant years of life. Something to think about.